Hello, and sorry I'm a bit late in meeting you, and I was planning actually to meet you earlier, but I got busy with something, so I thought maybe I should really first introduce what this session is about. The session that we will be talking about today is related to mainly what's called translation or specialized translation. What is specialized translation, for you to know, is the translation that uses specific texts, like medical text or pharmaceutical text or petroleum text or any scientific text that or technical text that you can think of. That is one thing. The other thing is that in this kind of texts that you come across, there will be usually some different layers of that text. So when you look at a text which is scientific or technical, you're looking at various layers. The first layer is really the normal language, the everyday language used by people who are not educated. For example, as in the case of medical translation, where the doctor talks to a lady or a patient, not necessarily using any technical words, any terminology. And I'm going to go into terminology in a minute to explain to you how terminology works in English. So the language will be between the patient and the doctor will be very simple, very conversational. So instead of, for example, urinate, it will be passing water and so on. Or tummy instead of abdomen. So it's basically a simplified form of language in the English language. That is one thing. Now, on top of this layer, which is this simple, straightforward, ordinary language, which is known by conversational language, if you like, this informal language is not really the scientific one where there is terminology, where they're specialized. And the specialized is going to... hi, Amal. What is important here is to see how the terminology works. But before we go to the terminology, I must point out two things, or three things actually. When you look at the text, you have to have three different aspects or three different features that are special to specialized text. The first feature, which is related to syntax, and syntax means what? It means related to sentences, how the sentences are mixed together or fixed together and how they are tied up together very strongly. And that is relating to syntax. The second aspect, and this is what Kim Grego in 2010 has said, and I have a book which is called Tarjama al-Mutakhassisa, Specialized Translation, which is Hi Tariq. So that is the Tarjama al-Mutakhassisa as well. A Tarjama al-Mutakhassisa Specialized Translation, I published it in 2019, which is with the permission of Kim Grego. She is an Italian author whose book, which is called Specialized Translation, is actually one of the requirements in the Italian Ministry of Education. Okay, so that is really what it is with regards to the specialized translation or الترجمة المتخصصة, وهي منشورة مع سيبويه الناشر, and it is also found in Jarir, which is one of the bookshops. Now, going back to the specialized translation or specialized texts. So we said it's going to be syntax, one aspect or one feature. So it's looking at the sentences, how they are linked. And then you have next to it is lexis. Lexis means words, vocabulary. And that's another thing about specialized texts. In their lexis, their words are monoreferential. They refer to only one thing. When we say cardia, for example, it means the heart. It has no other meaning except one single meaning. That's why it's called monoreferential. It refers to only one single thing. And these terms that refer to one thing only, they are used because they want specifically to refer to something in particular. Like, for example, a root like Theo. Theo means God. So any word that's got Theo in it, it will mean God. Theology means the study of religion, if you like. And then, of course, there are other words or other terms which that for now. Okay, so that is really the lexis that we are talking about here is full of roots, what's called roots, and they are of Greek or Latin origin. And this time I'm going to talk about some of the roots that are in Greek this time. The next session I will do, it will be about Latin. So words like micro, macro. Micro means small. And macro means large. So if you're looking at it from a macro level, that means you're looking at an overall level. Micro level means you are looking specifically with specific details on it. Then you got archaea, which means ancient. So archaeology, archaea means ancient, and ology is O means of. And logy, which is a suffix means the morpheme that comes at the end of the word. Okay? Logy means science or study. So archaeology will be arch, ancient, O, of, and then logy means science. So the science of the ancient or what's ancient. The same with gyn, G-Y-N. G-Y-N, which means woman. So gynecologist is a person who specialized in the study of women's matters or women's illnesses in the medical field. So that is really, and then you have another root which is called, let's say, phil. Phil means love. And miso, M-I-S-O, it means hate. So misogyny is the hate of women, for example, misogyny. And philomeny will be the opposite, which is the love of. So phil means love and miso means hate. So that is really important to know. So in other words, the terminology, the lexis, the word will consist of, in a specialized text, will consist of a prefix, root, and suffix. Sometimes the prefix will be like pre-operation. Pre-operation means what happens before the operation. So the word operation is the root and pre is the prefix, and the word prefix is spelled with one F. But when we say psychology, for example, we got the psych, which means psyche, which means self, and ology is the suffix. Logy, suffix. Suffix means come at the end, the morpheme, the Greek morpheme that comes at the end. So psychology will be the science of self, studying self. There are other words like, for example, anthrop or anthropo. Anthropo means man. Anthropology means the science of studying mankind of man. And anthropologist is the person who is studying mankind in terms of behavior, whatever, traditions and so on. So that is really relating to lexis. That is what specialized texts are about, full of terminology which is of either Greek or Latin origin. And there are around 300